when you put your stuff on Facebook and all them problems are out there growing up and just magnifying and people putting stuff on there, have you answered the call of going to your prayer closet? Every Christian sitting in this room tonight has a prayer closet. The Pharisees used to go stand on the street corners and they'd take their shawl and they'd grab it and they'd pull it over themselves and stand there and pray on the corner to be pious, to be all that they was. They was trying to answer the call of themselves to man, that I'm holier than you are. Where do you pray? I've got a couple of questions tonight. I pray behind the steering wheel of a truck. I pray in the shower. I pray when I bust that knuckle. I pray when somebody cuts me off in a car. I pray when the price is not the right thing and I hear somebody say, well, that cost me too much. I pray that it balances out. God does what God does. I'm going to read a scripture. Y'all know I only read it, just a little short scripture. But I want you to get tonight where you was at this morning. That outside them doors, there's still hell to deal with. If you don't get your mind wrapped around that one answer to be saved, to understand what Christ gave mankind was a cross, blood, and an empty tomb. I heard a man say yesterday, well, the flood, I'm changing for just a second. He said the flood didn't cover the whole world. I said, have you read that book? I said, did you read the book? I said, didn't God create the whole world? That's what people do. They find their own answers the way they want them to be, to where they fit their self-sustaining. I'm going to use Brother Linden quite a bit tonight, maybe. That message this morning was to tell Christians, you can answer the call. I'm going to use Brother Jimmy and Miss Teresa. In the morning, they're going to answer a call that the devil has tried to do a time before. If you're here tonight and you're going out into that world and you're doing what's wrong, you hear that voice, he's calling you to stop doing that. Even if you're lost, he's still standing off over there afar calling you. He wants you to answer the call. Why? Because he has a glorious life for you. I'm not trying to impress you, but when I walked out the doors this morning, I'm telling you, I was filled up. I almost thought we were going to have Pentecostal up in here this morning. But when that phone beeped out there and I got that message, that's a hard message to get. Do y'all agree? What message did God give? When God spoke all this into existence and put you right there where you're sitting tonight, have you answered the call yet? Christians hide themselves away. They do what they say they're going to do, and then they try to move away from that. They try to, well, I can't address that right now because I don't know what this book says. When someone asks you a question, you should have enough of this in you to answer the question. Because of what? The devil sure got an answer. He don't have to thumb through it. He don't have to look for it. He's Johnny on the spot. When that phone of mine beeped, I want y'all to answer this out loud in public. Should I got mad at my feet and my family didn't call me the day that she passed away? What does Christians do? What? What, y'all hear that, baby? Forgive them. That green-eyed woman sitting there. She saw me in some bad ways. You know what she said? The same thing. We can't hold that against them. Because guess what? I'm a human like they are. I can make mistakes. That message this morning, you hear me? I'm going back to that. That message this morning was for us. That song Miss Ann just sung right then. It's time for Christians to start answering the call. If you don't answer the call, what are you going to answer to Him when you get there Judgment Day? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about that? Let's have a word of prayer. I'm sorry. Let's have a word of prayer. Lord, thank you for these people. Lord, thank you for their hearts. Lord, if there's one here tonight lost, don't let them stay in that condition. Lord, let them see the love of Christ, an empty tomb. What He gave up for them, Lord. Lord, be with all the problems and the situations. We just ask that you bind us together and tie us together, that we strengthen one another and love one another. Lord, and the problems that are at the front door, Lord, we know where you stand. We know what you're going to do. We trust you. We love you. Lord, and just anoint me. Give me your words. Touch that lost soul. Strengthen that Christian. In your Son's name I pray. Amen. It's real short. If you would, go to Psalms 86, verse 7. When you get there, say, in the day of my trouble, I will call upon thee, for thou wilt answer me. You can be seated. Would y'all agree that David had a bad life? Would you agree that David was a man of war, had blood on his hands? David did some pretty bad things, but what did God call him? The apple of his eye. God called him that. A man. God's calling you the apple of his eye too. He wants you to be all you can be. He wants the devil not to have no tether in you, nothing on you. But you have it because you're not saved. There are people in this room right now today that are going to walk out that door and face what I'm facing in the morning, or facing problems and situations. How are you going to answer? You're going to answer in your own strength? When God spoke the world into existence, do you think He didn't have an answer for what was coming and what the devil was going to do? He was not caught off guard. He made the cross the doorway, the answer to all the problems. This book right here, if you'll read this much, and then read this much, you'll be surprised how much information and how many answers you'll get and how much strength you can hold in your heart and in your mind. When you go to that doctor and they tell you, tomorrow's your last day on earth, you can answer the call. There are answers that you can put out there that don't do no good. You've seen yourself. Problems come up and you try to answer it in your way and do what you want to do with it and try to adjust it. But then what do? You go find that prayer closet, or you go find that old black book, and you say, Lord, I need something. Lord, I haven't been as faithful. I haven't done everything you, just like the song, everything I just sang. But guess what? I want you to hear this. He's still standing right there with you. He's never moved. He's the same today as He was 1,000 years ago. God is still God, y'all. And if it's time today for Christians to stand up and quit backing up and answer the call. I'm not talking about voting. I'm not talking about none of that. What I'm talking about is when you change, when you walk in that door and God moves in your heart and you get saved, for you to answer the call to turn. You're not going to make a complete turn. No, we're not crazy. We know you're not going to do that. But I'll tell you this from Donnie Bond's side, right over there. Y'all keep knowing I can mark it. When I raised up in there, I turned just a little bit. I know I turned. You know why? I didn't think the same way I did when a car pulled out in front of me. That's that truck driver thing. Smash your finger with that hammer. Oh my God. That don't happen no more. Why? I answered the call. There was a man stood here at this pulpit and proclaimed the Word of God in a way, in a fashion that I could answer the call. Young people, they've got 99 million things thrown at them more and more and more. I'm going to give y'all something. They're afraid to answer the call. You know why? They don't have nobody to back them up. Well, we can't go to the school. Who pays the taxes on the school?
Right. Amen.
I'm not trying to get political, but I'm just stating the fact. Why is it the prisoners have more rights than the kids do at their own school? Why? We missed the answer on the question. We was absent. I don't understand how God still loves us, but I know He does because He opens that door. He lets the car crank. He lets you come to church. He lets you go to work. He'll let you bump into somebody and witness to them and tell them about Jesus Christ. I know that's a hard thing to do. But you've got to answer the call. Why? There are way more of them out there than they are. And without us standing in the fire, I'm going to ask you a question. You going to stand with Jesus in the fire? Are you ready to stand with Jesus in the fire? Because I'm going to tell you something, y'all. There was a man said the other day, he said, man, I hope it gets better. It's not going to get no better. It's actually going to start getting worse. The political thing, I've heard the Pope say now that you don't have to know God to go to heaven. I heard T.D. Jakes just the other day talking about homosexuality. He's going to allow it in his church now. How can you do all that? You know the big ships, they tie them up down there with them cords. They wrap them, and they wrap them some more to make it strong. 3 cords are stronger than one. I was laying there the other night, and I got thinking about them ropes. You start cutting them ropes, and that ship will move just a little bit. Won't even notice when you move. Christian, that's the same way we are. We started cutting the ropes. Why? Because we're not obeying this. We're not doing what that tells us to do. We're not answering the call. And I'm fixing to say something that may scare somebody. We're losing ground. The call that was put to us today, you would say, well, I didn't recognize or didn't know all that was in there. Okay, why'd you start coming to church? To learn what to do and how to do. Our shepherd said that he'll talk to anybody about anything to get Jesus' word in there. You ain't got to have some big philosophical discussion. You ain't got to go talking politics. You got to say, man, it's hot out there. Ain't it? When Jesus going to let that wind blow? How easy it is. It's not that hard to answer the call. I got 2 girls. We just found out my sad news. I ain't quite figured out if I'm joyful yet or I'm still already. The ones that live in Florida are moving to Portland, Oregon. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Because you know what that means? One of us going to have to get on an airplane again to go see them. But my youngest one that lives in Phoenix, she loves her daddy. I know she loves her daddy. She sent her mom and dad a little thing that says, you may not can see it and I'll read it to you. It says, your life may be the only Bible some people ever read. Have you answered the call yet? When you're standing behind the counter, when you're ordering your food, when they cut you off at the red light, do you blow the horn? We'll give y'all 90 miles here. Before I started Walmart, I'd blow the horn. And say, Lord, I wish I wouldn't do that. I'm being honest. Walmart has a policy that I can't say hun, babe, sugar, and I can't blow the horn, I can't make no hand gesture till you can cut me off. Do you know how much that's helped me? To tell my wife, oh, wait a minute, no, not that. But I'm telling you the truth. This book right here is not all gloom and doom and down and bum. Just because you're a Christian, you don't have to walk around and take somebody, David Dean, well, let them pick them up with the Bible. They're not going to get it. Right? Now, David Dean walking around with a bottle of water and saying, man, it sure is hot. Getting that bottle of water? Man, it's hot out here. You know, I had a good deal on that case of water I just bought. Lord, let me buy it for $1. That's the Lord in there, did he? It's not that big a thing. God is a big God. But to get His Word in there, y'all know that little baby I got back there in the back room? You know what she did? She says, amen. She prays over her food. We're going to teach her how to answer the call. She's trying to answer the call right now. If you're here tonight and lost, if a baby can go that far that way, you can too. What I'm trying to tell you is the answer is right there. You've got to be willing to let go of the pew. Get your hands out of your pocket. Quit saying, I wish that guy would shut up and hurry up and get this over with. God sent you to church for a reason. He let the car crank. He let you get here safely. Why? Oh, that's right. Jesus came and died for you. He answered the call. He wanted to give you something that we had no opportunity to get without that. There was another gentleman that had the same thing. It says over in Jeremiah. You remember Jeremiah? He was kind of that old weeping prophet. Had a lot of stuff going on. Jeremiah 33:3 says, call upon me and I will answer thee. I will show thee great and mighty things which thou knowest not. If you're here tonight lost, you don't know them great things. We do. The Deans and the Clarks are going to have a bad next couple of days. They answered the call, though. They still waved that flag. They still waved that Bible. They're still going to tell them people in the hospital that God is going to do what God does no matter what happens. If you're here tonight and lost, you can't say that. You can't take that step. But I know a man that can help you make that step. As I said a while ago, come on, preacher, you talk about them white knuckles, you let go of the pew. God's got you. If you look down under the pew, there ain't no snares down there. There ain't no nets. Christians have come by and cut the snares. Christians sitting next to you, they cut the snares. How do they know they're there? Because they was tripped themselves once before. Guess what? They know where the dollar store is and they know where to buy the scissors. And they also know what this old black book says about whatever's crooked. He says he'll make what? Is that an answer to a prayer right there for a lot of y'all in this room tonight? Mine got crooked earlier today. Still going to have a little trouble with that. But I know who God is. I used to come see Mom. This is a little bit about me when I was this big. Y'all heard this before. One of these thumbs got tore off by a rear type washer. She wrapped my hand up and laid it on the bed. And God said, you're going to carry my word. I've never been to a doctor. My mother kneeled over my hand and prayed over me. 25 years later, I'd ask my mom, Mama, are you saved? She'd say, Donnie, I'm saved. 2 or 3 years later, I'd come by with that truck and I'd get to see her. I'd say, Mama, are you sure you're saved? She'd say, Donnie, I'm saved. That happened about 4 times. I'm going to give y'all the last one. I went and seen her here last year. I said, Mama, are you saved? When I was in trouble, she would call me Donnie Ray. She said, Donnie Ray, I'm saved. I know where I'm going. I got my answer. If you're here tonight and you're lost, You don't have the answer yet, but I can tell you a man that has the answer. His name is Jesus Christ. High priest, King of kings, Lord of lords, Master of your universe. A friend of mine said, "Are you sure you can do this?" I said, "I have to stand in the gap today." Why? Because He stood on the cross for me. He gave me the opportunity to witness to you and tell you that He loves you and He don't want you to die. And no matter what the problem is in the battlefield, no matter what the problem is in the shop, no matter what the problem is in the doctor's office, He has got the answer. Don't run from the answer, run to the answer. The answer will not hurt you, not will. I've run from a lot of things in my life. She didn't hear me, did she? I run. I'm still afraid to go swimming. I've almost drowned twice. I'm afraid to fly. I've had to do that twice. I might do it again, look like. But I'm going to tell you what I know to be as truth can on this planet. You can overcome the fear of the devil. Wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute. What? Oh, yes, I can. How can you do that? Well, you remember that cross, that hill up there? You remember that man that hung on it? He answered the call over you. Well, I took Jesus to 2 or 3 places and tried to tempt Him. What did He tell you? Get behind me. Answer the call, Christian. Tell the devil, no matter what that problem is, no matter what it looks like, no matter how big the war is, no matter how big, God's a lot bigger. I want y'all to answer this out loud. Have you ever seen where God can answer the call? I've never seen Him not answer. No matter what. No matter what. When I first started coming to Vision, you know how when you start on the new path, things kind of get real rocky. You kind of don't know. Well, then I got saved, and then things you kind of see smooth out a little bit. I still haven't answered all of the calls yet. I've got saved, I've answered that, but I haven't started attending Sunday school. I haven't started doing everything that I needed to do. Well, one night there was a line right here. Didn't have $1 in my pocket. Somebody shared with me something that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. He answered a call of a brother. If you're here tonight, lost, they are a brother or sister in this room that will answer the call for you. But what you got to do? I need help. I need help. Because your help has not worked, has it? Hadn't benefited you nowhere or nothing. Hadn't got you nowhere. Hadn't put gas in the car. I used to steal gas from Mayflower there in Hattiesburg. Put gas in the car. What we do? We go out hot rodding around. 20 minutes later, the gas is gone. We're still, man, we're going to get some more gas at. What did I win? 5 minutes of speeding in gravel. I got my thrill for a few minutes, and then I had to go steal more gas. Man, you know how much gas stinks after a little while? It tastes bad. It gets old. In my own strength, I was trying to have fun. I like being around y'all. Y'all a little bit of fun. Well, maybe not that. But I want y'all to understand. I hope I haven't been repeating myself. But what you need to hear is this. If you're lost, you need to answer the call to get saved. Christian, you hear the call of lost and dying people, you need to answer the call. Why? Well, it's not to glorify you. Do you want just us to be in heaven? I don't think I want just us in heaven. Because probably we don't want just us in heaven. We need a little bit more. Each one of us can touch. I don't know how many people. I only know like y'all. I don't know too many people something in that church by myself. I got a chance to witness to one the other day. Jay, would you have got to witness to it? Nate, would you have got to witness to it? Miss Charlie, would you have got to witness to it? Miss Deborah, would you have got to witness to it? Who God gave the opportunity? A little old sinner like me. God gave an opportunity to witness to a brother that hopefully, when Dennis meet him on the road somewhere and pour a little water on that seed and it grows, we answered the call. When the problem walks into the front door, when the doctor calls, don't go running out in the world and saying, Facebook, I don't know what I'm going to do, all this crazy stuff. And it causes you to get real still and real quiet. And words that you can't speak, the evidence of God will come through. Lost person, you don't have that joy, but you can have that joy right there. You can get saved right from where you sit, and yes, you can. But there's one thing you must do. You must proclaim His name. Come forward. He did. He came from the uttermost to the guttermost to go to there. He gave us the doorway. He gave us the answer. I like the answer. It causes me pain, but I like the answer. You know why? I didn't have no other answer for the devil but his attacks. Got one more thing, and I'm going to let you go. Trouble's going to come. Lost person, how you going to answer? Christian, trouble's going to come. How you going to answer? They both should be answered the same way. Would you agree? Draw Brother Diaz for just a moment. Brother Diaz probably deals with a lot of people on a daily basis. He's running around. When I used to work down there with him, you see him, he was dealing with people getting cut and all kinds of stuff and stuff. Brother Diaz has to have the patience to deal with them. A man in the world may not have that great of patience. But a man that serves God, submits himself and answers the call, can witness to people even in prison, even in the depths of despair. I can't beg. I can't come drag you out. I'm going to make one more statement. God can still save you. He has not lost power. He is not too far off. His arm is not too short and his ear is not too weak to hear a lost person call out in the desert. Now, Christian, his ear is not too weak and his arm is not too short to strengthen you when you want to witness to that lost person. When you go to the doctor. I appreciate y'all coming tonight. I want to encourage each and every one of you. There are two sets of doors out there. This altar is empty right now. The strengthening yourself could start here for when you hit that second set of door and that phone call comes, that you can answer the call. And not blow up and fall apart and fall down on the ground and cause yourself more problems and more harm and embarrass yourself and embarrass God. Because God don't want you to live like that, flopping like a fish out of water. I know that the Bible is the true Word of God. I know the Bible has answers in it. But you have to read it. You can't just lay it on the floor. You can't look at it on the truck dash. You can't look at it on the nightstand. You can't look at it in somebody's car driving down the road and get something out of it. If you go to the doctor and he gives you medicine, setting it on the counter ain't helping you none. But I'll make you this vow. If you'll start reading this, that walking the snares will not be able to trip you as much and as quick and as often. Why? What does it say it is? It says it's a light for the world. That's the answer. That right there. That's got more money in it. That's got more blood in it. But it's got more authority in it than anything man can touch.
Yeah.
But Charlotte, Cleveland, and thank y'all for coming out tonight. The altars is open at Vision Baptist Church. If you need some